What do you expect to see out of him?
The great thing about Lonzo is that wherever you plug him in, he's going to make people around him better. I mean, he really is special in the way I've seen him through this 1 year at UCLA. And I kind of can't wait to see him with really good NBA players, so it's not necessarily going to happen this week, to see how much better, how effective he is. But the thing that's going to be weird about this, and you can already see this happening in social media with Lonzo, is that you're going to have guys that will be in the league that are going to want to go at him. And then you're going to have a lot of the guys, if you watch these summer league games, I mean, there's a very large portion of these players you're never going to remember again. Yeah. Like, will there be somebody out there that tries to make a name for themselves just because we know how much attention Lonzo's going to get in the summer league, knowing that that's a guy that's probably going to be, whether it be, you know, in the developmental league or playing overseas.
Okay, so you look at things a little bit differently than anybody else watching a game, and they look at the box score and say, did he have a good game? What does Lonzo Ball have to do in this game to kind of show you, okay, I like what he's doing right now?
Well, look, Kevin, I mean, I'll just be honest about it. He could be terrible this next week, and it's not going to change my opinion of who he is as a basketball guy.
Understood.
So,
but are you looking for anything specific in his game tonight?
You know, I think that the one knock on him, it isn't the shooting. Like, we all know everybody doesn't like his shooting form, but the numbers are much better than I think he even gets credit for. I mean, the numbers there. Like, he knocked down shots. But scouts that have been concerned about his shooting will tell me that the shot is so weird that they wonder if he can actually get to even, not that the mid-range shot is cool anymore, but can he off a screen if he just has a real nice opening? Is there any in between for him? Like, can he get that shot off in traffic? Can he get that shot off contested? Or is it always stepping out a little bit more from three? But that's just not his game. That's not the part of it that I'm worried about right now. But it is something to just pay attention to. We're like, where is he taking the shot? Does he have any concern getting this thing off? Because he's just so good at getting his teammates involved. Like, guys are going to get passes from him tonight that there are 10-year NBA vets that won't set them up as well as Lonzo.
What do you think of their decision to make Hardaway this offer, a guy that they drafted, now they're trying to bring back?
I think they're doing everything that Phil Jackson didn't do during his tenure. This is the first post-Phil move, so to speak. It's not a huge move. I think they're still in many ways not in disarray, but I don't think anything is going to really start moving for them roster-wise. And what I mean by that is, what do you do with Carmelo Anthony until they interview David Griffin, the GM candidate, former Cleveland Cavaliers GM, and get somebody in that position to help Steve Mills decide what to do with this franchise and James Dolan.
Hardaway's gotten better each year. What do you think of him as a player?
I like him. I like him. I just don't think he's a game changer, Jay. I think he's one of these guys that if he's your fifth best starter on a playoff team, that's a decent team. If he's your third best player, I don't think you're going anywhere.
It's official. Coming up with $128 of wiggle room is a lot harder than we thought it would be for Danny Ainge. Woj is here. All right, so the Celtics made a little bit of a move today involving this guy to sort of free up some move to get the Gordon money ready. Tell me what happened here.
Well, Avery Bradley goes to Detroit for Marcus Morris. It allows Boston, first of all, to sign Gordon Hayward to that max contract extension. And it also allows Boston, Avery Bradley is going to be due for a very big contract next year. Boston can only pay so many people. This is going to be a player in that $20, maybe $22 million a year range. One of the elite two-way players in the league. Detroit has been, he fits perfectly with what Stan Van Gundy wants to do. Contavious Caldwell-Pope was their restricted free agent. They let him go, and now Bradley becomes a player, a long-term player for the Pistons.
Okay, so you mentioned Caldwell-Pope. The Pistons essentially withdrawing their qualifying offer, making him an unrestricted free agent. Our Bobby Marks, your colleague here at ESPN, former front office insider, basically said he's the best unrestricted free agent out on the market. So you tell me, the market for Caldwell-Pope is?
It's still developing. And I think that Brooklyn's had interest. I think Washington's going to match that Otto Porter offer sheet. And then Brooklyn will have the space. The intriguing team in this are the Los Angeles Lakers, who would potentially do a one-year deal with Caldwell-Pope at a very high number. And here's the connection, too. Obviously, a good young two-way player. Shares the same agent as LeBron James, Rich Paul. And as the Lakers' pursuit of LeBron James heats up, to bring in someone who's part of Clutch Sports, and the one thing that I think anybody knows, if you're going to get at LeBron James, you need a roster of two-way players. They could potentially sign him at a high number for 1 year, create more cap space next year, re-sign him to an extension as the Lakers try to pursue Paul George, LeBron James. So whether Caldwell Pope's going to be willing to do that 1 year deal remains to be seen, but that's what the Lakers are pitching.
Real quick for you on that particular note, if you're Rob Pelinka, Magic Johnson, you talk to everybody in the league, how are they balancing the short-term needs of a Caldwell Pope? Let's see what he can give us. Maybe we can get LeBron, with obviously what they're thinking about with 2018 and beyond. How do you manage both?
It's about 2018. That's why you're seeing the Lakers just doing 1 year deals. They are all in and getting money off to create cap space like they did the Mozgov deal. And now Caldwell Pope is a player certainly who they think could help them long term, but it's a prelude to their pursuit of Magic Johnson, or their pursuit of LeBron James potentially.
To play for Magic Johnson in 2018, if that indeed becomes the case. We'll obviously watch the situation. A lot women injured in combat, a chance to heal.
How did this come about?
Linda, Boston, since they got the commitment from Gordon Hayward in free agency, they've had to create some salary cap space to sign him to a max deal. And in doing that, they were out shopping Avery Bradley, Marcus Smart, and Jay Crowder. They closed in here in the last several hours on a deal with the Pistons, which the Boston sends out Bradley and a second-round pick for Marcus Morris. For the Celtics, it gives them the ability now to sign Hayward into their salary cap space, and Detroit gets a tremendous two-way player in Avery Bradley, who I think going forward was going to be difficult for the Celtics to pay him his market value, which could be as much as $20 million a year.
You know, let's talk about Detroit a little bit. So how does Bradley fit in with them? I mean, where do they go from here to here? Or, I mean, how will that work with their roster?
He is perfect. I mean, Stan Van Gundy has been looking for that tough-minded two-way player at the guard position. He can score the ball. He defends. He's an elite defender at his position. And it gives them now an option. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's a restricted free agent, he could potentially go out and get a max offer sheet from a team like Otto Porter did in Washington. Detroit has been very reluctant to pay him that kind of money, and it gives Detroit now the flexibility to maybe not have to keep Caldwell Pope. They could work on a sign and trade with another team and get some assets back for him, but now they have an alternative here if they don't go forward with him. You know, Avery Bradley's a player who I think the Pistons are going to be very aggressive in trying to extend long term.
Back to Boston, Wojo. Is this it for Danny Ainge for now?
Well, this was a major piece. They had to get this done here in the last 24 hours to get the Hayward agreement signed. Boston still needs some more size up front, some more strength. They need to be able to rebound and defend the rim better, and I think that's something Boston now will be able to address here between now and the start of training camp.
All right, Adrian Wojnarowski, who broke this story. Avery Bradley, now a Detroit Piston. Let's talk more about it. We welcome in our NBA analyst, Ryan Russillo, and, of course, the writer for The Undefeated, none other than Mike Wise. And, Ryan, I'm going to start with you. When you first heard about this, that Wojo broke this story, what came to mind?
A bunch of different things. We knew that the restrictions on the salary for Boston is something they're going to have to work with, and Avery Bradley's $8 million this year, so bringing in Morris, they save some money because he's $5 million for this year and next. So there's a cheaper alternative there. Jay Crowder, to keep him, is a cheaper alternative. He's under contract, so Bradley was going to become really expensive, not just this year, but next year when he becomes a free agent. On the other side for Detroit, their salary sheet is a mess. They're paying a lot of guys that aren't that good a lot of money, and they're worried about Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. So now this means, as a restricted free agent for Pope, if he was offered a major deal from someone else, then they might not necessarily care about it now because they have somebody like Bradley who'd be part of their future.
Well, I was going to say, Gordon Hayward better be good I mean, he better be very good because of all the guys I didn't want to see them lose if I were the Celtics.
It was him, Bradley?
It was him. I would have rather seen Marcus Smart go. And Crowder, I don't know, he would have been a tough go, but Avery Bradley is that skill player that's developed year after year. He's gotten better year after year. And I understand you have to make tough decisions. You're not going to be able to pay him in a year. Both he and Isaiah Thomas come up next year. So, look, I think it's a huge addition. I feel like the Celtics are, were gritty enough, but Marcus Morris only makes them grittier. I think he's played 79, 81, 82 games the last 3 years, hasn't had an injury problem, 14 points a game last 2 seasons, 5 rebounds. I mean, this is a good pickup for them. You're right. They needed someone to take the load off Al Horford down low a little bit. But I hate losing Avery Bradley.
What do you think?
That's why I'd be a lousy GM, because I'd hold on to players that I shouldn't.
I know, right?
So,
you couldn't work in this world of the NBA. Ryan, so how do they look on the court now, the Boston Celtics?
Well, they have wing depth that, even though I agree with Mike and how much you like Avery Bradley because of his defense, they'll be able to get by without this.
Smart plays great defense, though.
Oh, Smart's terrific. Smart is one of the best small guards that defends bigger players. What he does to some of these guys that are much bigger than him in the post, it's embarrassing for the opponent. Smart just owns him. But offensively, he's not necessarily Bradley, and Bradley was still a little inconsistent at times. But now we're talking about that front line, as Woj just mentioned. The Celtics still need size because the Horford-Morris pairing, rebounding-wise, that's not a good group. So now we're looking at a team that was the worst rebounding team in the playoffs going into last year. So, look, free agency isn't over yet. Like, they don't have to worry about the playoffs next week. So we'll see what the next move is there to try to add somebody that has more of a rebounding background. But it makes sense with Morris because of the offense and the fact that his salary is cheaper than Bradley. This is all about how expensive Bradley would have been next year than what happened today.
Yeah, and this is all about getting Gordon Hayward in, make sure he's in the fray, and you don't have to worry about him. And then you can, like, as you said, go after the next guy.
Gordon Hayward is, to me, going to be a massive domino to fall. He's going to meet with the Heat on Saturday. He's going to meet with the Celtics on Sunday. He's going to meet with his Jazz on Monday.
To me, Boston's a no-brainer for Gordon Hayward.
Well,
hashtag basketball reasons.
Don't sleep on Miami.
I bet right now most more general sports fans, not NBA people, they don't even know who Gordon Hayward is. The NBA sure does, though.
The relationship with the head coach is going to be really important to Gordon Hayward.
Gordon Hayward landed last night and was greeted by his former coach, Brad Stevens, at the airport. They took him to Fenway Park.
Danny Ainge's only option that he's been after really all along has been Gordon Hayward because it fits.
I'm hearing Boston is feeling really good about their chances of getting him.
I'm told they eliminated Miami as an option and have been focused on Boston and Utah. They have been talking all day, going through it again and again.
You didn't know what he was going to do. He just kept changing his mind every day.
What can you tell us?
They were just told literally 6 or 7 minutes ago by Gordon Hayward, his agent, Mark Bartelstein, that he was going to Boston. It was posted on the Players Tribune. With Gordon Hayward now paired up with Al Horford, with Isaiah Thomas, this is a team that Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens has to believe can compete for an Eastern Conference championship.
Even as the Jazz did most everything right, they couldn't control for the massive imbalance between West and East. They couldn't control for Hayward's college coach to be leading one of the strongest East teams. And they certainly couldn't control for the rise of the greatest team in NBA history to dominate from within their conference.
The feeling back home is just really jubilation. Having that comfort level with Brad was certainly something that attracted Gordon to Boston and probably made that decision to leave this comfort zone a little bit easier.
It's great for the Celtics. This means we're going to be a really good team this year.
When you first heard about this, that Wojo broke this story, what came to mind?
We knew that the restrictions on the salary for Boston is something they're going to have to work with, and Avery Bradley's $8 million this year, so bringing in Morris, they save some money because he's $5 million for this year and next. So there's a cheaper alternative there. Jay Crowder, to keep him, is a cheaper alternative.
Gordon Hayward better be good. I mean, he better be very good because of all the guys I didn't want to see them lose if I were the Celtics.
It was him, Bradley?
I would have rather seen Marcus Smart go.
So it could be that for all the hype and all the attention paid to Hayward's destination, the Celtics still will probably fall short of the Cavs in the end.